Ladies and gentlemen, cowboys and cowgirls, young and old, veterans, families, and friends, thank you for joining us, and welcome to another episode of Heart of the Volunteer Veterans Podcast. We've got an amazing, and a joy to have veteran on today, Sergeant Gary Vashus, Army missile crew member. He was born on a ranch and raised horseback in Colorado. He lived an exciting life before the Army. He joined in 1967 out of duty and obligation. He fought a deferment to join and was stationed in Germany as a Cold War position. Filed multiple DA Form 4187s. Gary's going to call them 1059s, don't sweat it. But Gary talks about the missile points he manned for 30 days on and 30 days off. Gary is not short on stories, and he's got some amazing ones in there, because Gary has a very unique perspective on his service. He was in a hospital when I visited him. Sometimes you'll hear the bells going off from his machine. His energy wouldn't give this fact away. Enjoy Gary's story. He has a heart of gold.
Colorado, my folks lived down by a little town called Arlington. It's between Ordway and
You have to hold
between Ordway and Eads.
Okay.
And he worked on a ranch down there. And then we moved up by a place called Rush Center, worked for Smith Ranch up there. Before I started school. When I started school, the schoolhouse was in a pasture on the ranch, and when it was nice, we rode our horses to school.
Right.
And when it was bad out, they had an old Army ambulance, and that's what they hauled the kids in.
That's pretty cool.
And and then we moved to up by Hugo and worked for a big ranch up there. They had about Rush Creek. They had about 120 sections.
Wow. How many different families worked on that?
Oh, there was just us. They had like 11, 12 men at headquarters.
Yeah.
Year round, and sometimes they was building some fence and they had some extras, kind of, but all we done was ride.
Right.
We get up in the morning about 3 o'clock, get the horses fed and everything, and we go eat. Sometimes we get up about 3 o'clock, because a lot of times it's 4:30, and we'd be leaving, and we'd ride one horse and leave 3 or 4 others.
Yeah.
And we come in after dark at night. And they just have to beat them old horses to get them to go home. They was tired.
Yeah.
And we'd ride in that old white sweat on them and just ride them in the ground.
Now, you guys were taking cattle and moving them just kind of all over the ranch.
Well, we lived down there. We had 2,500 head of cows on our end of the ranch. Mm-hmm. And in the summertime, we had them cows, and we had about 2,500 head of yearlings. We had a pasture down there that had 15 sections in it.
Whew.
And they run them yearlings in there in the summertime.
That's a big operation.
You ought to see 2,500 head of yearlings sprung out.
That looks, that was probably something like in a movie for me to see. That's big.
It would be. But you could just, the first 4 or 5 miles, you got to really hang on to them. Yeah. After they settle down and get to walking, heck, you can sit out there on a hill. If they see you, they won't, they'll just straighten out and go on down. If you get them on an old trail road or something,
yeah,
they'll just follow it. And But you can sit out there on a hill and watch them. I wished I'd had pictures. We didn't even own a camera, let alone pictures. Right. But we said when we got out of school in the spring, we never seen another soul till shipping time.
Yeah.
That's all and we had screw worms and dirt storms.
Yeah.
We come home at night, and them dirt blowing there in the 50s. We come home at night, and Mom would be in the house with a scoop shovel, shoveling the dirt out of the house.
Man, I've seen pictures of that, but I couldn't.
I've sat on a horse and you couldn't see their head.
Did you have like a bandana on and all that kind of stuff?
Every day the dirt blowed.
Yeah.
And we'd get out there and we tried to get up as early as we could and do all the riding we could by noon, because from 11 o'clock on, them storms would blow in any time about then. And you see them old brown clouds coming out of the south. We just we carried a couple, 3 water bottles with us, and it was pretty hot and you drink a lot of water, but if they were slow, we'd get to a windmill and fill them up before them storms come. Then we'd take our horses and put them in a blowout somewhere in them sand hills. It's kind of like this country down here on the river. Yeah. That south of the river down there on Duns.
Right, yeah.
And we'd get them horses in a blowout and hobble them. And you just cover up with slicker and whatever, try to, so that the sand couldn't get to you.
Yeah.
If you had any bare skin exposed, it'd take the hide off you.
Yeah.
And we'd take them water bottles and a handkerchief, and we'd keep them wet, cover our mouth with them. And then when they got so dirty you couldn't breathe through them anymore, we'd wash them out a little bit and start over.
Yeah. How long would those generally last?
Oh, it'd blow till dark.
Yeah.
From about, like I say, 11 or 12 o'clock till damn near 10 o'clock at night. And you just sat there because you couldn't do anything. You wouldn't know where you was at if you didn't.
Yeah. What do the cattle tend to do at that point? They just kind of hunker down.
A lot of them would just go get behind the hill somewhere out of the wind if they could.
Yeah.
Them was pretty rough old sand hills, and they'd get down the blowout or behind the hill somewhere and just stick their head between their legs. Them horses do that.
Yeah.
They'd stick their head between their legs and turn their butt to it and just sit there. We'd leave a saddle blanket on them so it kind of protected their back.
Yeah.
I've seen it take the hair off a horse.
Man. It gets like that over there in Iraq.
Yeah.
In Afghanistan. Just some big old windstorms come flying through there, and it's just, you can't do anything. And then sometimes, it would start to rain.
That's what it was.
It would start to rain during it, and it would just be mud that was falling on you.
Yeah.
Because it was pulling all the dust out of the air.
It did in the rain for 2 or 3 years.
Oh, really? Yeah.
And we didn't have no... And we lost a lot of cattle.
Hi.
Hi.
Bye.
Bye.
You're busy.
I'll talk to you later.
Whatever.
But forgot what I was going to say.
No, we were talking about
the rain.
Storms.
We didn't have much rain. It was dry.
Yeah.
And them old cattle ate that sagebrush in the ground and everything.
Yeah.
When that thing broke, it was about 56. That thing, we got rain. We got a big old rainstorm. We had hail balls 5-6 inches. They go through the roof. There was 2 or 3 layers of shingles on that old roof.
Yeah.
And it go through them into the attic.
Wow.
And that had stucco on the outside, and it come through the walls sometimes.
Man.
Break it all, the wind is out on the west side of the house. It beat that old house up.
Wow.
Had a carpenter there. They was working on the house, kind of fix it up a little, and he had a brand new '56 Chevy pickup, blue one. I remember that. And it beat the hood down on that thing, clear down around the motor and the fenders. It almost beat the fenders plumb off of it.
Wow.
It just caved it. It looked like he'd been out there with 4 or 5 guys with sledgehammers just beating it. I mean, it beat it. We're talking, you know how them old woods set up?
Yeah.
We're talking about beating them clear down around the motor.
Wow. That's a big hail.
Yeah, but we had a lot of water and it greened up.
Yeah.
Boy, that was worse.
Now,
We had a lot of cattle die from dust,
yeah,
animals, horses. I thought we was going to time or two.
So Gary, being raised, around horses and everything, what got you into wanting to join the Army?
Oh, I don't know.
Did you have any?
I did. Everybody, I went in the Army in 67.
67, okay.
And everybody was in there.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought I ought to do my share.
Right, yeah.
And I didn't want to be home when everybody else was going to Vietnam and one thing and another. And every time they'd have a draft call, I was on the bottom of the list again, and the next time I'd be up on the top of the list because I was going into the courthouse and checking.
Right.
And I kind of got tired of it. So I went in there and talked to them and asked them, how come I'm always on the bottom of the list when these calls come in?
Mm-hmm.
My boss had arranged agricultural deferment.
Deferment, right.
And I said, you tell them to stick that thing up to your rear end. Let's get her done.
Yeah.
And I thought I'd go to Vietnam, infantry or something. And they sent me in that missile outfit over there.
Right.
And that's how I got where I was at. I didn't like it over there. I kept trying to
get to Vietnam.
1049 to Nam, and they got so tired of me.
So you were over in Germany.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And down there, we was about 40 clicks from Stuttgart.
Okay.
But that's where we stationed. But we go up in the mountain. We had field deals up in the mountains, and we go up there and set up our missile batteries.
How long did you stay up there?
Well, it was supposed to be 30 days in and 30 days out.
Mm-hmm.
We come in for 30 days and clean up our equipment, and then we go back out and cover targets again.
Right. Now, what targets were you covering?
Well, they was in, like, Hungary and Czechoslovakia. And some of that I don't know. We couldn't find out.
Right.
Some of them we did. That one of them was a railroad. A whole bunch of railroads coming in where they marshalling yards.
Like a railroad junction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They bunch of railroads coming in. Everything over there moves by. Everything over there moves by. Where am I at?
No, you're good.
There it is.
Yep.
Moves by railroad.
Yeah.
They got trucks, but the biggest thing is moving everything by railroad.
Right.
And but the smallest round we had was 10 times larger than the one they dropped on Hiroshima in World War II.
Wow.
That's the little one. And there was 10 more or 9 more besides that.
Whew.
We could drop one of them bombs and take out a whole country.
Yeah. You guys never fired any, obviously.
You don't fire them over there. Boy, you get in a lot of trouble for firing a pistol over there.
Yeah. So when you got your 30 days off, what are the soldiers doing?
We cleaned up equipment.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty hard because you're out there in the rain, the snow, and mud, and that electric equipment. You got to clean it up, and anything that ain't working, you got to get it replaced,
Right.
stuff like that.
So did you get much downtime?
Oh,
R&R, like a chance to go around Germany and visit
Well-
certain places?
they did. I didn't go very much, and so talking about that, but and I hadn't went anywhere. I just stayed there. I didn't really care whether I seen anything or not.
Yeah.
But and so they come up with this deal. They made me go on the R&R down to Vashus Gardens,
Okay.
and that they had a big deal for that down there. Had a whole. It was an old Nazi hotel where all the officers went to R&R.
Yeah.
And some of that was pretty. There are several places on there. That movie Band of Brothers,
Yeah. Yeah.
that lake where that big motel was and
Right.
stuff on that. I've been there.
That's awesome.
And it is kind of when you.
Yeah.
The history's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely, Gary. That's amazing.
And there in the mountains, when coming into that town, there's still old flak towers.
Yeah.
Or gun batteries up there, and they won't. It's all. I went up there close to them, but you can't get very close to them. They won't let you in there. They
Yeah.
said it's all booby trapped.
Yeah.
They never cleaned it up. They just locked it up. They
I
got.
wonder if they got that cleaned up now. That'd be fun to see.
Well, see, that's been what going on 50 years.
Yeah. Maybe they got it cleaned
Since
up.
I've been there. I don't think they ever did. I think they use it kind of as a tourist deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there ain't no sense in cleaning it up, really. I'd like to go in it and see what's there.
Yeah. That's my thing. I'd like to see.
And I don't want to do that. But,
Gary, I was stationed over in Hawaii, and they're on the coast. They've got those artillery batteries set up
Oh.
right there, and those things roll on these massive gears.
ball bearings,
Yeah, they move it around.
rollers and roller bearings. Yeah,
That's
'cause a guy
impressive
can
to see.
almost turn them by hand.
They're that smooth.
They move pretty good.
Nice.
But I think they had some kind of crank deal,
Right.
multiplier.
Yeah, that's
That's
absolutely amazing. Like huge, just huge. And yeah, I'd like to
Some
get
of
to
that
Germany
was-
and see that.
but they loaded me up and sent me down there, and that was another one of them deals. You will go. You get the hell out of here and go.
Mandatory fun.
As a boy, it's kind of like, but it was. I went in the Army in like June of '67. I went through basic at Fort Campbell. Then I come home for a couple of weeks, and then I went to Fort Sill. We trained there for about till I come home. I had a 2-week deferment. I left for Germany on Christmas Day.
Okay. What year was that?
It was 67.
67. Okay. So
That-
Germany was your first duty station, other than
That's the only place I went.
yeah. Okay.
We couldn't go anywhere else.
Right. Well, your job kept you limited, didn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was. See, the Russians, they had them frog missiles. And that's kind of our version of it.
Okay.
They were, but I went through that AIT deal for that, and I left home on Christmas Day, and they flew us. We went to Fort Dix, New Jersey, and they flew us to Frankfurt.
Yeah.
And we was in Frankfurt for a little while, and they got us a train ticket. They put us in a car at the end of the train, no heat, no nothing, and it was 20 below zero.
In December in Germany.
No, this is at Christmas time.
Uh-huh.
And it was 20 below zero. We was cuddled up with the mail. They had mail sacks back there with us, and we was hugging them mail sacks to try to get warm. And then we got off the train there, and to go to the battery, and we had they was in the field, so they put us in a 3/4 ton pickup with a tarp over the top of the back end. We had to ride in the back of that pickup for about 5 or 6 hours
To get up to the battery where they were deployed.
get up to the field sites, and that wasn't too fun either. But it was cold.
Now, what was the pay like for you back then?
When I went into basic as the E2, it was like $70 a month.
Okay.
And when I went through AIT, it got E1 pay. It was $80.
Yeah.
And when later over there, I was a Specialist E4.
Yeah.
And that was like $140 a month.
That's good money.
It was then. And then when I made sergeant over there, it was like 300 and some.
That's a big bonus.
I don't know what they get paid a hell of a lot more than that now.
Yeah, the economy's so
$2,500 or something probably.
I don't think it's that much. They get paid pretty good though.
Yeah.
We work them hard.
I wished I'd have got paid that good. I'd have drank a lot more whiskey.
The good stuff.
The good stuff. But I was just a crewman then, and we got out there one time in the middle of the winter. It was about 40 below zero and it snowed about 6 foot. Probably wasn't quite that much, but it was.
Seemed like it, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of that, and we was at force.
Yeah.
And if you tear a tree down or something over there, it costs the government a bunch of money.
Yeah.
Like thousands of dollars.
Right.
For somebody tear a tree down without getting the right permission. It really cost you.
Yeah.
And but it was so bad that they couldn't get us out of there. So we spent 3 months in the field.
Really?
And we pulled guard 24 on and 24 off. 7 days a week for 3 months. That was kind of hard.
Now, what was were you getting intel that there were there were Russian forces that were trying to like spy on your sites and things like that?
Oh, we had their military attachés sent people out to find out where their sites were.
Yeah. One
time, after I made sergeant, firing sergeant, and that was end of '68, I think, and I was in charge of they call it a 10-man backup team, but it was anytime they needed somebody, well, we went and done it.
Yeah.
And this Russian car from their embassy pulled up at the front gate. And boy, they was blowing a siren, and we took off. Had a lieutenant with us. He was a pretty good guy, though, but he was run our section, and it was our day to sit around and wait and see what happened. And this old car pulled up there and took off, and we had a 3/4 ton pickup, old canvas cab on it, and the back end was open. And we took off after them, and I grabbed the M60 machine gun, laid it up on top of the hood, and got a belt stuck in it, and I was just ready to pull the trigger, and the lieutenant stuck a pistol on the side of my head and said, "You pull that trigger, I'll kill you."
What was his name? Do you remember his name?
Oh, I can't remember. My mind was...
You seem to be doing pretty good. I can't remember names.
He
I'm terrible.
was. He was. I'd have done anything for him.
Yeah.
He was one of the best officers I ever saw.
Well, I'll tell you what. If you remember his name, you let me know.
Oh yeah.
And I'll see what I can do if I can't find him.
I'll remember, but he was sure. He was one of the best officers I ever seen.
Good.
I mean, he come there. We was all up in the barracks, and it was on like a Sunday, and he showed up. He come in there in this Jeep, he come in there, and boy, he had sunglasses on, and he was strutting around like King Kong, and we, boy, we got a good one here. But he turned out to be really good.
Good.
He said, I'm going to do whatever I can to get some rank out of this deal.
Yeah.
And if you get in my way, I'm going to walk all over you. But you do what we need to do to keep them off our butt, and we'll get along fine.
And you'll come right along with him with the rank. That's good.
But then we had a lieutenant. His name was Getz, and he was a cocky West Point type feller. He thought everything was by the book.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd put up with him there wasn't anybody past a guard inspection when we was in concern, and we had to have guard every time we turned around.
Oh, the guard mounts and inspections.
And he kicked them all. Well, I don't know how many times. And one time I made sergeant, and I was sitting in the section office.
Mm-hmm.
We had our firing section had its own office.
Right.
I was sitting in there with my feet up on the desk, laying back. He come in there, and boy, he started crawling all over me. I didn't get up and salute him like I should have. I was a little slow.
Yeah.
Boy, he started chewing, and I said, "Can I speak to you freely?" I told him, I said, they called it, we always talked about the balloon going up, because the world was going, if we ever fired one of them missiles, there wasn't going to be nothing left.
Right.
And I told him, I said, if the balloon goes up, you're going to be the first son of a bitch I shoot. And he was kind of worried about that, because he asked me about it later. There we go. He asked me about it later, and I told him, "You damn right I'd have shot you." I said, "You're the sorriest SOB I ever been around."
Huh.
And he kind of straightened out a little bit.
Yeah.
But we got him one time. We was getting ready to go to the field, and I had his signature on I don't know how many hand receipts for equipment.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're talking about one of them cables might run $10,000, and it's 20 foot long.
Yeah.
But there's 200 pins in there for different stuff for that computer
absolutely.
stuff. That was back when they had the old binary computers. It was kind of ancient.
Right.
And we went to the field. When we come out of the field, they lost a whole bunch of cables and stuff.
Uh-oh.
He got transferred to another outfit shortly after that.
Yeah.
And then somehow or another, some of them cables
Showed back up. Imagine that.
Imagine. But sometimes you got to do that to some of them guys. They might be boss, but they wasn't running the show. But he kind of, it's a couple of things like that kind of made a better officer out of him.
Yeah.
He never was good, but...
Well, maybe he got something out of that, went on and did great things.
Yeah.
Never know.
Well, he was better when he left than he was when he showed up. I know that.
Good.
He quit. You could pass guard mount with him anyhow. But
So Gary, how long were you in Germany?
32 months.
32 months.
My whole time, other than just
Training and
training, as soon as I got out of Fort Sill, we went straight to.
over to Germany.
Yep. And let's see. We did one time. We had to go up on the Czech border and survey some firing positions.
Mm-hmm.
They used gyros instead of GPS.
Right.
And for their longitudes and latitudes, and we staked these firing points,
Mm-hmm.
and a couple of them was on the other side of the border. But we went up there. They sent us up there, and we was with a detachment of Green Berets,
Mm-hmm.
and they was teaching us how to hide and crawl hills and stuff, and I thought it was kind of fun. But this one old sergeant and me, we go out and shoot. I like to shoot, so we would go out and shoot. And I got to where I could shoot as good as he could.
Yeah.
And he didn't call him a sniper, but he was the same thing with you guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he was good. And I had 6 men in my survey team, and there was 6 of them. There was about 12 of us.
Yeah.
And we'd go out at night and survey these deals, and it took a little longer than we should have been out there
Mm-hmm.
to get it done, and there was people showing up. So they had loose haystacks in this meadow, just a great big old meadow right close to a town.
Yeah.
And we crawled underneath that haystack and sat there all day, them people walking right by us, closest me to you.
Yeah. And then when night came, you guys just.
At night, we got it.
Yeah.
We left Dodge.
That's like some Carlos Hathcock stuff there. That's pretty cool.
But when we got back over there, they was chasing us just a little bit, but they didn't know where we was at.
Right.
And that was the funnest thing I done, I think.
That does sound like a lot of fun.
It does. But running from them guys, you could hear the dogs. But it got pretty close. We got back through there's places along that border you can slip through.
Right.
And we got back on our side and called for a helicopter, and they took us out of there real quick.
Yeah.
Because them guys could slip through that same hole.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be some exciting times right there.
That was pretty exciting for that place.
Yeah, definitely.
But
So Gary, what did you so you made the decision to get out, to not stay in?
well, that place was so bad, I didn't want to have nothing to do with the Army when I was time to go home.
So kind of.
Them re-up sergeants didn't like to see me come.
Just tell them flat out no.
Yeah, you can just go straight to and don't come back.
So what did you do when you returned to the States? What was your
I went and worked on that ranch I was working on before I left, breaking horses.
came right back home?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's see.
Well, Gary, I was doing a little bit of research, and I noticed that, for World War I and World War II and Korea, roughly about 80% of those veterans came back to where they enlisted from or where they were drafted from. And, that number's only changed by just a little bit, to...
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a pretty common practice for people to come back home, and I think it's a good deal to do.
Well, I had all that I wanted.
Yeah.
the Army wasn't so bad. It was all them people you had to put up with.
Right. Well, I think you know what, Gary. I think if you would have gotten the infantry, you probably would have had a lot of fun.
I think we had to go out on, they call alerts when we was in. Oh, we may have 5 or 6 of them in a month's time.
Yeah.
And they practice setting up the stuff, and we had to dig gun pits for machine guns and stuff like that. I was in charge of. We had 5 machine guns, and I was in charge of them. And I was on that backup team,
Right.
and a few other things that was extra. And there wasn't anybody else dumb enough to do it. So I got told I was going to do it.
Right.
But one time they had this, they called this alert, and there was a colonel from group that's come out there, but we dug our little machine gun holes and dug the little grenade trap in the bottom of them, and
Grenade sump,
stick your helmet over, blow your leg off. But anyhow,
There's something.
they had some Germans, and some German military, and they was going to play kind of like war games or something.
Right. Right.
That's what made me mad. I didn't like playing war games.
Yeah.
But I seen them coming down the side of the mountain. Hell, you could see them for 2 or 3 miles.
Yeah.
And they was down this little draw, and they was all strung out along there. So I went to, and it was this good lieutenant I was talking about. And I went to him, and I told him, if I go up around that hill, they can't see me. I mean, we can get in behind them. And so he went and talked to the battery commander, and he said, well, I'd let them do it.
Yeah.
And we took off with my guys, and we went way up to timberline and come around behind them. It took us 2 or 3 hours, and we was trotting right along. Them old boys were tired when I got them down. We crawled on our belly in the mud for about 600 yards to get in behind them.
Yeah.
And we had these blanks, and I wanted to shoot something. And we had these blanks, and I had about 10 clips, and you're only supposed to have 6, but I picked up a few extras. And I told them guys, we got kind of down the hole before we got up there, and I said, now, when we start this, you keep shooting till you run out of ammunition.
Right.
Just as fast as you can jump it out. And boy, we crawled up behind them guys, and they never seen us at all. They didn't. They was looking off out there, seeing that somebody was coming.
Yeah.
And we crawled up behind them on this little bank. It was probably that little draw was about from here to the corner post on that canopy out there, that brick.
Yeah. Yeah. Real close.
Crossed it, and they was laying on the other side, and we crawled up behind them. And I went to shoot, and boy, it sounded like World War III. We unloaded on them, and it did. When we started shooting, it just scared the hell out of them. Well, I mean, they was ready to leave town.
Right.
And then we gathered them all up, and we got sorted the officers and the non-coms and that enlisted up, sorted them all apart, kept supposed to keep them apart.
Yeah.
I'd have just shot them and left them lay. I'd have good ammunition.
You have to safeguard POWs.
Yeah, I know. that ain't no fun.
Right.
But we took them down, and we took all their stuff out of their pockets, and supposed to get all their information,
Right.
where they was, and who they was, and what they doing, and they didn't have anything very important.
Just personal identification.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we didn't know their rank deals on their, but we kind of figured that these here might be sergeants and them there might be enlisted, and that old boy up there with all that stuff on, he might be he might be an officer. But we got all their stuff and took them down there, and this old colonel was flying around the helicopter watching us. Mm-hmm. And he come down there and he looked around at all their stuff, and everybody was supposed to, they wanted to see that you could, just like the machine gun pits and stuff, it had to be by what the book said.
Right, by the numbers, yeah.
By the numbers. And he chewed everybody out but us, and he said, "You guys did a good job." I was ready for a real rear end eating, and he was strutting around, and he loaded us all up and hauled us around and look at how bad their things were set up. And the only thing he said that the machine gun pits and the 10-man backup team did the best job.
There you go.
But that was close to having fun as you could get. That and that deal when we were surveying.
Right.
Other than that, there was.
So Gary, what have you been doing in life since you've gotten out?
Well, breaking horses. Mm-hmm. And I worked for Stanley Post over at Fowler for 10 years.
And when did you and Judy get married?
Oh, 85.
85?
We've been married 30 years.
Yeah. No kids?
No, she had some kids. We raised them.
Yeah.
And I come down here and worked for the county for 15 years. Or about that.
Right.
And when I wasn't working on weekends and stuff, I was breaking horses.
Right.
At night, after I get off work, I'd go ride horses.
Yeah.
And I'd go down on the river, take my tent down there, set it up, and ride them old colts. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
I had more fun doing that than anything. I still like to go down there.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, the river, there's water in it now. There's water everywhere.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
We needed water.
Yeah.
But look, it rained yesterday and the ground was plumb saturated, and today it's gone.
It's drinking it up.
It's going in the ground.
It's taking big drinks. Oh, yeah.
Well, we haven't had that much flooding around here out of all this. I mean, there's a couple of little big...
Ladies and gentlemen, we hope you enjoyed the episode today. It was an honor to give Gary a chance to tell a small part of his saga. Once again, like, share, subscribe. Like, share, subscribe. Let's get Gary's story out there so other people can hear it. It's worth telling. It's worth hearing. Keep Gary and his brothers and sisters in arms in your thoughts and in your prayers. Veterans like Gary join communities. They add character and unlimited value. Thank you, Gary, for the chat. Thank you for your service to the nation. And thanks for being a great person. Everyone, thank you for listening. Stay safe out there, and many, many blessings. Noell Fisher. Copyright 2019.